Now, we are thrilled to bring to the stage our first speaker, Dr. Juanita Mora. Dr. Juanita Mora is an allergist, immunologist, and nationally recognized spokesperson. Named a health hero by U.S. News and World Report, her family-focused educational content touched the lives of Latinos across the country throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. She serves as a volunteer medical national spokesperson for the American Lung Association and is known as a voice in education and science. She has also made headlines on local broadcasts, including NPR, NBC News, WGN, Univision, and Telemundo. Let's give it up for Dr. Juanita Mora.
Thank you, everyone. I love the energy in the room. Good evening. First of all, I want to thank Latinos Progresando and my friend Omar Ramos from Univision Chicago for inviting me to take the stage tonight. Such an honor to be here with you. Well, I can't start my story without starting it and taking you back to March of 2020. It's the beginning of the pandemic. City of Chicago starts locking down. State of Illinois starts locking down. The country starts locking down. And then the world starts locking down. A novel virus has entered our country, our world. Businesses close, schools close. Yet, essential workers have to continue going to work amidst all this fear and chaos. They are not given protective gear. They're not being social distanced. There's no ventilatory system. And they're so afraid of infecting their children, their spouses, their grandparents, their parents. And when we talk about statistics, only 1 in 6 Latinos was able to telework from home, and only 1 in 5 African Americans. And then if they got sick, they were scared to go to the emergency room because remember, they were only allowed to go in alone, and so many people were dying. Their local doctor's offices had closed. So here I was, an allergist immunologist, 5 years into my own private practice, and I had a choice to make, whether I was going to keep my doors open to the community and help, or would I go virtual? These were the headlines that made me toss and turn at night, which included 10,000 employees test positive to COVID-19 at Tyson Meat Packing Company, the outbreaks at Foster Farms. Then you also heard the clamor of the people when the wife of one of Tortilleria El Milagros, actual employees who died, clamored, they're doing nothing to protect us. And then this memory comes into my brain that helps me make that decision. It's 7-year-old me sitting in a waiting room with my mom. She's just been diagnosed with kidney failure, and I'm sitting with her waiting hours for our doctors to see her because we're waiting for a translator. I grow impatient and I go, Mommy, why does it take so long to see a doctor? And she says, Mija, because there's not enough doctors who speak Spanish. And I turned around at that point and said to my mom, well, I know what I want to do when I grow up. I want to be a doctor. Because I want to help the community and I want to talk to them in their language. And I guess you all know what I did. I kept my doors open to the Latino immigrant community to treat essential workers who were getting infected. And I'm so glad I did, because when we look at the statistics, the essential workers had a 5-time increase in death risk during 2020, and they comprised the largest population to die from COVID-19 in 2020. I want that to sink in. So much fear. They were the most at risk. But before I take you into my work during the COVID-19 pandemic, I gotta tell you a little bit about me. and why this became so personal to me. First generation Mexican American, born and raised here in Chicago, Pilsen neighborhood. And when we talk about it, I'm the first of 5 children. My first language was Spanish. I learned English when I went to school. My dad, a butcher who worked in a meatpacking company. Remember the outbreaks at the meatpacking company? That's why it was so personal to me. My abuelitos braceros who worked the land. I came from a family and a community of essential workers. So how could I not be there for them? I grew up in a humble home. Lots of joy, lots of laughter, and also lots of faith. In a family that taught me resiliency. And boy, did that 7-year-old girl ever have resiliency. But looking at her journey, she would have never imagined that she would have been named a U.S. News and World Report health hero for her work with the Latino immigrant community. And let me tell you how she spread so much light amidst so much darkness. By becoming one with the community during the pandemic. Along with the American Lung Association, we brought 500 masks to the Pilsen neighborhood and masked essential workers, the elote man, the paleta man, the tamale lady, the restaurant workers, because they were all important amidst all these infections brewing. And you know what? American Lung Association taught me the gift of advocacy, doing more work for others. 2, becoming that voice of science and knowledge through the media and the news. And really breaking down the vaccines, breaking down the science, teaching and holding the hand of this community on a local and national level because they needed me. They needed this doctora. And I have to thank all the networks that gave me a platform throughout this time. Univision Chicago, My Casita, Univision National, WGN, ABC7, NBC, City of Chicago, State of Illinois, among so many others. 3, fundraising. I had the honor of going through the American Lung Association and doing a fundraiser at a national level with none other than Queen Latifah. And because that 7-year-old girl had to have her hit with Hollywood, right? So, and what we were doing is we were raising funds for the hard-hit Latino and African American communities. We raised $7 million with that fundraiser that were injected right back into the communities. Yes. 4, lending my voice at a local and state level, City of Chicago, State of Illinois, on panels of doctors. So that way we could increase vaccine confidence in our communities. We could break down barriers. We could get our community to navigate this pandemic. And 5, to create impact. Because I took the stories of these essential workers who were having unfair and no protection in their work sites, and I took their stories to a local and national level to create awareness because I wanted their work conditions to change. I wanted to stand up for them. And did that 7-year-old girl ever imagine in her whole life that she would be doing this? Heck no. But I'm here. And when we talk about this exact moment and where we are today, people always ask me, Dr. Mora, what's next? And here's my answer. We need a documentary that really tells the story of everything that the Latino immigrant community did to support this country. So that way, the next pandemic, we take care of them because we need to be their voice. When they ask me, what is the definition of the joy of being Mexican? Is being this doctora standing right in front of you, who was there for her community when they needed her the most. But she could not have ever done it without her familia, without her clinic team, was an amazing set of girl teams, girl power, and 3, her faith. There is not a day that I don't thank Diosito and la Virgencita for this blessed journey that they have given me. And I'm going to take my stage today, and I'm going to end the night with this quote. It took a pandemic for me to be a voice for those that have no voice. Through the process, I won the trust and the love of the Latino community, but I want them to know that they have always had my heart. Thank you.